Welcome to the PFP announcement waiting room. Hi guys, welcome back to Casting Commons, the show where we talk and discuss all things Pauper. I am your host, Tissot, and this is my co-host, the starfighter pilot himself, Reese.
Hello.
Well, you went really quiet there, but how are you doing?
Good, actually. It should be fine.
It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, I am okay. I am very, very tired. But yeah, fine other than that.
Too much travelling. But
yeah,
here we are. Before we properly start, do not forget to rate us 5 stars on Spotify, follow us on Twitter at CastingCommons1 for your most recent Pauper deck list, and of course, subscribe to us on YouTube. So we've been trying to nail down these Pauper thoughts of the week, but basically we've both been busy with work, so we're just going to have a bit of a talking point of a couple of things that have sort of popped out and annoyed us throughout the week of Pauper, really. And it's not really I wouldn't say it's really a jibe, it's just more things to note, right? Is probably the place we're at, is how I would describe it.
Pauper anecdote of the week.
Yeah, Pauper anecdote of the week. I guess the first one was, it started off with me sending you a deck list, right? And
yeah. The Mono-Red Madness brew, or the sort of evolution on Mono-Red Madness.
Yeah.
Which had, obviously you sent me it as a screenshot from Magic Online. And I was looking at this deck list, I was like, oh, what is this card? Like, I have no idea what this card is, and it was the Spider Islanders. But I literally had to Google the name, and then I was like, oh, it's the Omen Path thing. And that's happened quite a few times now where I've seen this card in a deck. I'm like, I've literally never heard of this card before, and I'm pretty good for card names and known cards. Yeah, it's definitely a lot more annoying than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I think. Don't get me wrong, I think the actual deck builder websites or the deck results shown websites have done a really good job. Like, obviously MTG Top 8 has done it quite well. Scryfall's done it quite well. Where if they pull up a Spider-Man card, so on MTG Top 8, if the card contains a Spider-Man aura through the Omen Paths card, there's a button to flicker between them, which is a good useful tool for those people who, depending on how you want to interact with the set, I guess the two sets, is quite good. And then Scryfall has them under prints, so they're under the same print, which is a good tool to use. But yeah, for me, me and Reese, when I'm sharing deck lists to Reese or vice versa, most of the time they're generally through screenshots.
Yeah.
Which then makes it obviously a bit more awkward because, you have to remember both names of the cards and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I do think though, I don't know if this matters I don't know if it's true on Magic Online, but I'm almost certain on Arena, if you type in the Spider-Man card name, it brings up the Through the Omen Path card.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, to be fair.
Makes it a bit easier.
And I think, yeah, as you said, the community around Magic has done quite a lot to sort of try and make the mess work, Top 8, Scryfall. I was listening to LR the other day, and they basically just read every card and named it twice, and just read 2 names for every single card, which obviously is a pretty big cost to them, adds loads of time, but the community is actively trying to make it work.
Yeah.
It is just more annoying than I expected when I'm literally Googling cards that I know the card, I just don't know the name.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't recognise the name.
Yeah. I find myself as well, when I'm trying to record, I try to name the card, the Spider-Man card as well. Yeah. LR, but then halfway through I just give up. So I'm I was playing, which will be out now, the green-red ramp deck, but with the Spider-X in. And I was like, yep, I'm going to play this Spider-X. And then I'm like, the Chizak, and then all this sort of stuff. And then I was like, all right, okay. And then just to end up halfway through the video, just start calling it Chizak because that's its name in front of me. Do you know what I mean? It's
just not intuitive.
Of course.
Especially as you play mostly on Magic Online, you're casting a card, you're going to read what's on the card. But obviously, a lot of people play Pauper in paper, so it is useful to read both names out. But yeah, it's just a mess basically.
Yep. On a side note of that, which is not really Pauper related, I found it quite interesting. I don't know if you've seen Brian Kibler's video, and also on the state of the UB and their opinions after MC Atlanta. If you haven't seen that, I recommend listening to this first, obviously, because always finish listening to this, and then I'd recommend giving that a listen, because it very much does explain multiple different issues, not just from I'm a UB hater, but more of a this is the problem with it. Yeah. More than as a whole, because like even little things like Avatar was supposed to be where Lorwyn is, right? And then it's got moved out until literally was the next set. So obviously Lorwyn was supposed to be the last set of the year. But then Avatars took its place for whatever licensing reasons, most likely, and then Lorwyn's the first set of next year, which sounds minuscule, but for standard purposes, they've pushed they finished the Shockland cycle from Edge of Eternity and put them in Lorwyn. But they've also then, the way rotation works now is the start of the new year is rotation. So in the near future, you're going to get to the point where now the Lorwyn Shocklands are going to stay in standard because they've flipped them, but the other ones are going to go out because they've moved it.
So you don't just have longer without a complete cycle of Shocklands. You then have an entire rotation with only half a cycle, or they're going to have to try and fix it by jamming the EOE 5 Shocklands in somewhere else down the line where they're not supposed to be. It is a mess. Kibler's video was really good, actually. I would definitely recommend people to watch that as well.
For sure. And then, as people probably are sort of aware, which is another anecdotal thing, it sort of does, I guess, sort of lean into this sort of conversation about Spider-Man, but it sort of edges eternity at the same time, right? We've been focusing more on the Pauper Thoughts of the Week generally anyways, because we've really like splitting the content up, but also it's helped with the challenges as of late, because they're all interesting in their own rights, don't get me wrong, but there's nothing new and fresh coming in, and there's nothing wrong with the format. In long and short, it's kind of, I don't know if I'd use the word stale, but I kind of feel like using the word stale. Basically, the problem is we've had like 2 or 3 sets, and they've all done absolutely very, very minimal. Like, not like, obviously nothing's impacted the format really. There's, obviously your biggest shakeup you've got is Beckoner with Mono Black Sack, right? Out of the last 3 sets, I would say.
I would probably go even further to say this year we haven't really had a set that's impacted Pauper in a relevant way. Ether Drift did very little. Tarkia, although it's a great set, did very little. Like, it added a card to Fae that is just the same card as it already has, but with a different name. With the
Humble and
Elder. Even Final Fantasy, like, there was loads of hype for it. It's
Final done, what?
Exactly. It's done basically nothing. EOEs, I guess, probably added the most and like the most recent, but it's basically just another Fae in Fae, which like if it was a Strix, you wouldn't really notice the difference. And it's made Mono Black better, which is the main impact is Mono Black has improved this year. But I think everything else is basically the same now as it was at the start of the year.
I guess,
and then Spider-Man's again done basically nothing.
I guess the only thing for me, is obviously at the start of the year you had Dragonstorm, like Tarkir, as you said, which on paper didn't do much, but I think Sagu Wildling on its own has brought quite a lot. Obviously, bringing Spy properly into the metagame.
But then again, the past month there's been no Spy.
No, exactly. But obviously there was a call, and when it first came out, people were like, "Oh my god, this deck's broken! It's power," and it was everywhere. And obviously, people, it was a newish take on the deck. But overall, like the impact on Pauper has definitely been very minimal compared to most years. Especially, I think it's also because of how much of a shake-up it felt like it got last year with Modern Horizons. It's definitely shown how lackluster it is, and
and I suppose like we've not really had like the years previous to that, we had a lot of downshifts from reprint sets.
Yeah,
which we haven't had any reprint sets. But yeah, you're like looking at a full year's worth of releases. Well, obviously Avatar's still to come. But we've had 5 sets, and I'd say we've probably had 5 cards from 5 sets, if that. And a lot of them are, this card is just a new, like a 3 of in an existing deck. Like Black Mage's Rod, for example, in Grixis. Like, yes, it has improved Grixis affinity. It hasn't really changed it in any meaningful way, though. It's just, it now plays 3 of this artifact instead of 3 of a different artifact. And it's not like it now gets to play 8 Mirroring Forces, for example. It's just sort of a bit of a trinkety, it's okay thing. Like, I would go with you saying Sagu is definitely probably the biggest change. Sagu and Perigi. But for a full year worth of cards, I guess the most meaningful change to the format was the unban of High Tide, which was not a set. It was just a card that was never legal is now legal.
Yeah, which is, I would say, to be fair, as a whole, is probably a pretty downer on a year, especially as said, last year we had Modern Horizons, the year before, we had Commander Masters. You know, we've literally, and I think Masters sets have been put on hold, especially with them pumping out UB left, right, and centre, is my understanding. But I don't know if an actual definitive, like, they're definitely never happening.
I know the Horizon sets obviously definitely got stopped. And I believe the like Masters reprint sets got the same treatment. I'm just like sort of trying to look back to what we had in 2024. Obviously, the biggest thing on Horizons 3 is a pretty huge one. The year before that, obviously, we had Lord of the Rings, right? Was 2023. That was a huge set to impact the format to probably a similar level to a Modern Horizon set, but
so I think I don't know if it's a mix of these sets have basically been very low impact because of whatever reason, i.e. they've been rushed or whether they've been, whatever, or the other sets in the previous years have been really high impact, which, albeit I'm not the biggest fan of certain cards in these certain high impact like sets, but I would say it still obviously makes for interesting gameplay regardless, right? Like, obviously it changes things up, you have to think about completely new different things and all that sort of stuff. When, as you say, the way we were basically thinking at the start of this year is there and thereabouts. Like, there's a handful of decks, don't get me wrong, like Fairy Macabre's now replayable and all that sort of stuff and whatever, but it's not massive amount of changes, right? In the grand scheme of things.
I don't know. It's definitely been a very quiet year for Pauper in comparison to the previous 2. If not more. Like, probably the last 5 years is much more active each year than this year.
Yeah, it's like, it's very strange to think about how unchanged it is and how much it definitely, I don't know how much it puts a thought like on people like, oh, do they want to engage with this format when it's the same? Like, is that a good thing or is it a bad thing? It's a weird one because obviously some people like the idea of like eternal formats, them going to it, leaving it for 6 months and then coming back and it's almost the same, if not exactly the same. Obviously we've had Legacy of years gone by, we've had Modern at years gone by. It's been like that. Like, is it a bad thing? I don't know, but
yeah, I think it's definitely a balance, and I would say this year is teetering on the negative side of it, of like being unchanging, because it's literally like completely unchanging. Whereas the previous years, when the decks are still the same, but you're getting new cards for those decks, so you're getting like Clockwork Percussionist for the Kuldotha deck, or now the Rally deck, and and stuff like that. Like, you've still got Kuldotha. Kuldotha's still good. You need 4 more cards that you're now slotting. Like, your deck has changed. Your deck has got better, but it's still the same. Whereas a lot of this is, well, Mono Blue Terry is still the exact same, probably 75 that it was at the start of the year. And there's just a lot of decks like that, like, that just have completely not changed and are still just as good as they were.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a pretty... Yeah, I don't really know how to generally feel about it. Obviously, for me, from a perspective, I always try and force playing new cards generally anyways, for me personally. But obviously, from a metagame perspective, it's just, as you say, it's not... And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing for competitive players. I would say it's probably okay. It's like the metagame at the moment is fine, right? It's obviously, it's open. There's no real like tier S deck that's completely broken. There's like probably like 3 or 4 decks that are like tier 1 or whatever, you know, however you want to split it up. And then there's obviously viable decks underneath that can do really well. Like the metagame is generally fairly balanced, but as you say, nothing's really changing. So then is that a net negative? It definitely makes it feel stale for sure.
Yeah.
Because you're versing the same decks all the time.
And I think if it continues like this, it's a hard one because there's always sets coming out, right? And no one really knows like which set. Even I don't think even Wizards know like which commons will impact Pauper. Like I don't think they test to a level where they can know that.
No.
But like if you just looked at what had happened this year and then give the information to the PFP and said, right, go and start the year again, like there'd probably be 5 or 6 cards that had been unbanned or rebanned since the start of the year because they could just like trial stuff more because they're like, oh, well, this next set is going to do absolutely nothing. Let's just trial these cards unbanned. But they're sort of in a position where they maybe want to do that, but then they're like, oh, well, but then now this avatar's coming out, so is Avatar actually going to do anything? Like, we now need to wait for this to happen and then wait for like a month or 2 after Avatar to see if that's done anything. But now the next set's coming out, so we'll have to wait to see if that set does anything.
Yeah, it's a vicious cycle.
Yeah. The stuff that you could do to sort of capitalize on this like stagnant metagame, like you can't really because you just don't know the future and the stuff comes out that fast now. Like you struggle for that opportunity.
Yeah. Pretty of a strange time we're in is all I can really sum up on that one.
Pauper complaint of the week.
Yeah. Yeah, and again,
but yeah, like it's not that the meta's bad either. Like I think it's fine. Like it's super balanced. You can play basically anything. But from I guess our perspective, because we're maybe a lot more invested than some people.
Yeah.
Like when we're looking at deck lists every week and just like, oh well, this looks the same as it did last week, or this is last week but upside down. Like the same 8 decks, they're just in a different order. Like it gets very boring, or it has got very boring at the moment from what it used to be. Yeah,
like obviously we used to see like we obviously looked at decks and then look at a deck from like almost like a micro perspective of seeing how the changes from the past couple of weeks has meant it's now it's taken this deck into consideration for metagaming and what that means, or this deck's now appearing because obviously in the past 2 weekends this deck's got really well. So do you know what I mean? We used to see this like almost micro metagame from challenges, but now because everything's viable and everything doesn't really change, all the lists are all the same, you kind of don't really get that. It's just which matchups versus what and what's not. Do you know what I mean? It's not really like a metagame perspective anymore. It's more of a, these are the decks that people want to play because they know it very well and they're going to play this anyways. And
yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's just like a roll of the dice, isn't it? Really, like, oh, my deck's really bad against elves. I hope no one plays elves this week. Like, the deck's just still good. People might play it, but they just also might not play it. I'll hope to avoid it.
Yeah, for sure. Anything else to add?
No, it's a sad one this week. I do like how Pauper thought. That was just our griping for the week, I guess.
Yeah, we'll definitely have a much better thought out. I don't want to say better, but definitely a much more upbeat. But most likely we're going to get an update next week. We've been saying this for the past 2 weeks, but to be fair, beginning of October is basically coming to an end, right? Like this time next week, we are basically looking at mid-October, so it will have to be this week, surely. So, let's be honest, it might even be live now. They like to put it out about the time we record anyways. So, but yeah. Moving on to some tournament news, just going to fire through these. The first one is the 18th of October, which is not next week, the week after. London Pauper Showdown, the 3rd, the dreaded return. Kicks off at 10:30 a.m. and register from the link in the description. Next one, the 25th of October, Pauper Winner Box at Element Games in Stockport. Tickets available and links again are in the description. On the same date in Leipzig, there is Germany's biggest tournament, and that is a 128 player cap at Conne Island. Link again is in the description. Just check out our description, you'll find these all. Also check out the Discord, another way to find them. And then Pauper Spezl 2 in Munich on the 22nd of November, 64 player cap. This one is also very exciting because of the tokens. The tokens are stunning. I feel like I mention this every week. These tokens look awesome. So please, if you are in the area or nearby or want to travel it, please check out the link in the description. And they have these beautiful tokens for entering, part of the prizes. They have signed cards and everything, which is pretty sweet to see. And that event link is also in the description. And then finally, the big event of the year for the UK. Saturday the 29th of November at Secret Space in Birmingham. Tickets are available. 210 players is the cap. We are already 50% or over 50%, I believe, sold out already, which is pretty mental to even think about. £40 entry and prizes guaranteed to top 32. And again, just check out that link in the description. That is going to be an exciting event. And before we dive into the challenges, do not forget to join the Discord. You can give us hot takes, Pauper thoughts. If you have a good one that you think we should talk about as well, you can put that in there. And you basically get entered. If we read out either of them, you get entered into the giveaway. We have done this this month, and so it'd be we did that end of September giveaway. So end of October is the next one. So yeah, again, just join that Discord just to talk even absolute rubbish with us and other people, because we're not the only people in there, of course.
Just to clarify that.
Just to clarify, yeah, it's not just us two talking to each other.
People do actually join.
Yeah, people do actually join. So yeah, and then now we are diving into the challenges.
Yeah, we'll see if we can pull some interesting bits out of these, because a lot of the decks are sort of what you would expect. Friday the 3rd of October was 56 players in the Friday challenge. First place, Mono Blue Terror. Second place, Mono Red Madness. Third place, Spy Walls. First time in a while we're seeing Spy back in the top 8s. Fourth place, Elves. Fifth and sixth, both Mono Blue Fear. Seventh, Mono Blue Terror. And 8th, Rally Red. And then the two near misses, 9th was Red Black Madness. And 10th was another copy of Rally Red. I guess before we go into, I'm assuming there's something interesting in the Spy because we haven't seen it in a while. I believe the Madness deck, right, in 9th had the
Swarm.
Wackadoo or Swarm of Bees man.
Yes.
Swarm of bees. Swarm being of bees.
Yeah. Swarm being of bees.
Or Wackadoo Midnight Hunter as a 2-of. Which is cool to see. It's nice to see it making some sort of impact. 6 Kitchen Imps is clearly a good number of Kitchen Imps. I'm not sure what was cut. There was definitely an Epicure being cut because there's only 3. I'm assuming maybe a highway robbery or something like that.
Yeah, I'm unsure. The list doesn't look exactly the same, right? Because I'm sure they don't normally run 4 Vampire's Kiss as of late, but I could be wrong on that, to be fair. So it's like they've gone up on Kiss and down on Robbery, and I don't know. But yeah.
Also, 4 Dark Withering in the sideboard, which is a cool one. Which is the Madness. It's like 6 mana instant or single black for Madness. Destroy target non-black creature.
Yeah.
I guess if you're going more all in on Kitchen Imps and Sneaky Snackers, killing a Chrysalis with a Dark Withering is pretty good.
Yeah, definitely. I think the card's pretty solid. Generally, like obviously, if you have a lot of obviously ways to pitch to madness, it's like obviously you gain card advantage in your 1 black kill spell, which is pretty sweet.
Yeah.
So not a bad one. And obviously with all this draw, like obviously you've got blood tokens left, right, and center, highway robberies, grab the prize, looting, and vampire's kiss. So it's a lot of ways to obviously pitch it, which makes it pretty cool.
Other than that, sort of interesting things to look at. The elf list in 4th was quite cool. It was a fully mono green list, with obviously 4 Mass Vandal, 4 Ents in the main. It also had 4 Avenging Hunters, so like pretty committed to the Avenging Hunter as the secondary wing con, I guess. So yeah, it's pretty stacked with bombs, 4 Avenging Hunters, obviously 4 Generous Ents, 4 Nyxborn Hydras, and then 4 Timberwatch as well.
Yeah, it seems like a solid card just to not only be a secondary win con against like controller decks, like more control decks like Gardens are sort of like popped up in leagues a bit more. But also it's like obviously pretty solid. I know your matchup's pretty good against Terror, right? But having more trample threats to help you push through your Timberwatch damage and stuff like that just help bury Terror completely. Like it's already a good matchup anyways, but just make it so that it's a lot harder for them to just get them free wins.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty nice.
Also, one of you meeting a tavern to complement the other 4 lead the Stampedes and 4 Winding Ways is like a 9th draw spell. Not the worst in mono green. Like obviously the multicolored lists used to play a Distant Melody alongside those 8s for a while. And then sideboard wise, which I assume helped him a lot in the top 8 because he played against Faye in the first round and has 2 Viridian Longbows and 3 Vitagazi Inspectors in the sideboard. So packing the heat for Faye. I don't think we've seen Viridian Longbow and Elf sideboard in a while, so it's nice to see it back.
Yeah, I'm intrigued on, obviously, I guess obviously it's pretty good in like the mirror and things like that as well. I was thinking like why that over the scatter shot, but obviously against the mirror and other like, you know, X1 decks that probably popping around, like Rally and stuff, it seems pretty good anyways. So I talked myself into understanding the question.
It's also a win con, like if you get locked out by
Stonehorn or something.
Yeah, Stonehorn. You can just make a bunch of mana and then just move this down every creature and just ping them. Yeah, it's a cool one. Always good to see Elves doing well. And trying some new bits.
Anything else to talk about other than the 3rd place Wall Spy?
I guess even Carves' Mono Blue Terror in 1st. It's not exactly the same as normal Mono Blue Terror. It's like three cards different. So probably worth mentioning. It's got a 1-of Murmur Mystic in the main, which obviously we have seen before, but it's not really common practice. He also has 2 Deep Analyses, which is sort of a bit more on the way out, I guess. The cuts for this is basically the Demon Furies. It runs zero Demon Furies and just leaning on the 2 Sleep of the Deads as the main board removal. And then sideboard, another sort of all-star of years gone by, Piracy Charm as a 2-of in the main. Also good against Fae as an instant removal spell for blue mana. Also decent against Elves and gives you Terror unblockable, so it sort of does a Artful Dodge impression in a pinch against the blue decks. Yeah.
All modes don't seem horrendous, right? Like
no,
obviously,
yeah, it's solid.
Obviously given your Terror unblockable, you know, doing the instant speed, someone discards a card when you're on resource fighting and all that sort of stuff all seems fine. And then obviously the removal spell, as you mentioned. I guess it's also another thing to note. I guess obviously a lot of people will go around blocking in terms of damage of 5s and things like that as well, right? Like obviously with Terror, you don't go, okay, I'm gonna die to, you know, this reach damage of a mutagenic growth, for example.
Yeah.
So they'll often block and leave themselves on 1 and 2. So that can obviously get people as well.
Yeah, give you Terror +2/-1.
Yeah. Which is pretty interesting to think about.
Yeah, it's a cool one.
Yeah, for sure. Moving on to the Wall Spy deck, right? Obviously,
yeah.
It's obviously I haven't seen it in a while, the main thing that stands out for this list to me is it's 5 lands, no petal. It is running 0 Axebane Guardian, but to to sort of mitigate that, it's running like the Wolf 777 tech of the Avenging Hunter from the Elves spy list, which is actually pretty cool because it's a guy that you can ramp into and is a big bomb, as we all know with Initiative, but it also gets a land out, which is another thing that obviously a lot of people just not necessarily forget, but it's not the most important thing of the Initiative. But pulling out a land out your deck for your 5-mana bomb that can win the game on its own is pretty big. So, is the biggest thing about this list. It has got quite a lot of the tech-ishy cards in. It's running 3 Vandals, 2 Mezfiend in the main. And then it's got 2 Tinderwall, 3 Waller Roots in the main as well, which is pretty not massively normal, I would say, from the normal walls list.
Yeah, Tinderwall's like the go faster wall, I guess, isn't it, really? Like if you're cutting the Axebane, you maybe just want to speed up the general ramp rather than focusing on walls being around for Axebane on 3.
Yeah, and it works quite nicely into Avenging Hunter, right? Obviously, play it in double.
Get into the 5. One of Troll as well, which I always find is odd in these lists with a single swamp to fetch. Like, if you just wanted to cast a Mezfiend that you've also got in your main and then you draw your Troll, you're like, well, guess I'm casting him. I'll leave my Forest in my deck because I can't get it.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of a random one of Troll, right? I don't really see where, like, I get the idea behind it. You want more 1-mana cyclers and stuff, but surely you could find other land fetchers that are a lot more suitable. I can either get both, or I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot better options than just a random Troll that'll be a really bad draw for the most part.
And then I guess sort of the sideboard wise, in a similar vein to the Elf list, like gunning pretty hard for the Fair matchup with 3 Scattershots and another 2 Vitagazi Inspectors as well. Again, paying off quite well for this top 8 with 2 Fair decks getting there.
Yeah, be interesting to see how well this deck generally is interfered with this sideboard, because the deck doesn't seem that favoured into Fair generally, I would say, because they can obviously answer your ramp and get you stuck on quite a few things, which is another big thing for me, obviously, as I've harped on multiple times about Spy Elves in comparison. But yeah, so it'd be interesting to see how this helps. If it helps significantly. Like, obviously it's not going to make it worse, right? But how much it helps. And it's quite a lot of your sideboard slots, obviously, like a third of your sideboard slots dedicated to effectively sort of Fair only hit. Yeah,
the Vitagazi is sort of a bit of a halfway house, because obviously it's a pretty easy swap for Mass Vandal against the red, like Madness, for example, as a gain life guy that still procs off your Generous Ends. But still on 4 Nile is the type for the life gain as well, so it's clearly not anywhere near enough just having the Vitagazi.
Yeah, for sure. Anything else to add on Friday?
No, I'm happy to move on. So the Saturday challenge, Saturday the 4th of October, 47 players. First place, Blue Black Fair, which is cool to see. Second place, Mono Red Madness. Third place, Rally Red. Fourth place, Black Red Madness. So all the red. Fifth place, Jund Wildfire. Sixth place, Gardens. Seventh place, Jund Wildfire. Eighth place, Mono Red Madness. And then the 2 near misses, 9th and 10th, a pair of Grixis Affinities. I guess, starting from the top down, the most interesting deck, in my opinion, here is the Blue-Black Fair list. Something, again, which we don't see super often, so it's cool to see it there. And a bit of a, I don't know, it looks a bit like a testing house to me, this deck. It's got 4 Augur Bolas alongside the 8 Fairies with the 4 Spellstutters and 4 Fairy Seers. Then 3 Ninja of the Deep Hours, a 1 of Murmur Mystic, a 1 of Mukatoi Ambusher, which is the 3/2 lifelink, a 1 of Moon Circuit Hacker, and then 2 Thorns. So quite a robust creature package with a few techie pieces.
Yeah, I think weirdly enough, the thing that stands out to me is 2 of the 3 4 of creatures, right? Like, it's not out of the ordinary for like blue black and blue red Fae to run like 3 Ninja of the Deep Hours and 2 or 1 Moonsaker Hackers, or sometimes running the Ambusher. But it's very rare that it's in conjunction with 4 Seers and 4 Augurs.
Yeah.
It's like a big statement of, I want to ninja something with only 5 ninjas, is how it looks to me, which is quite an interesting take on it.
Augur as well in a deck with 20 creatures and 18 lands.
Yeah.
Like, you're pushing Augur there. Like, he already likes to put 3 cards on the bottom of your deck. Like, that is what he's going to be doing a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Sorcery-wise, it's sort of the usual you'd expect with 4 Lorien reveals. But then a 1-2 split of a single Ponder and 2 Preordain. Again, quite an interesting number to land on, especially with 4 Fairy Seers. And then 2 Brainstorms to round out the cantrips. Just very, very odd numbers all around.
Yeah. It's definitely, as you said, that draw package definitely sounds like it's just testing a lot of things, right? It just seems so odd to me.
And then the rest of the deck is basically as you'd expect, with removal with cast downs, snuff outs, and counter spells, and then a couple of different like dispel, spell pierce to add a few more counters to the mix.
And then obviously don't forget the sideboard just looks like they forgot to put teachings in it, because it's about a bazillion 1 and 2 ofs with 4 Hydroblasters just to round it off.
Yeah. It is a wild list for sure. Obviously, the 1 of Agony Warp got to be in there somewhere. Has to be in the 75 of a blue black Fae.
Yeah,
you can't leave on without it, even though no one's playing Corgates.
You never know. You don't want to play to your outs, and it's in the deck, I guess. Moving on.
Yeah.
The 4th place, Red Black Madness, sort of turning what I was mentioning before on its head about the Vampire's Kiss. I'm sure they're not 4 ofs. Runs 4 Vampire's Kiss, but runs no Swarm Being of Bees. Has cut the 2 sort of highway robberies as well for 2 Ender festivities.
Yeah, I think basically the Swarm-ish slot and the highway robberies have basically just went into more burn, right? With 2 Chain Lightnings, 2 Ends.
Yeah.
Which were both obviously omitted from that other list.
But sad that they haven't reached a consensus yet that Swarm Being of Bees is playable. But maybe Wekdu might get the job done.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems fine. Like the list playing it looks fine, but I imagine it's fairly on par with the Chain Lightning in terms of damage output. But also it just gets awkward if you draw more than 1 because it's a legend. Other than that, there's like not too much else really to touch on. The Grixis affinity lists, I guess, basically just one of them is Luffy. The 10th place is Luffy's list, but the 9th place also just looks like Luffy's list to me. It might even, it's just the exact 75, right? And it has 1 less Hydroblast and 1 more Blue Elemental Blast.
Just in case.
But yeah, they're just the 4 Thoughtcast, 4 Reckoner's Bargain, 1 of Fanatical Offering pile that Luffy's been playing with is 1 of Blowgun, 1 of Cryogen Relic.
Yeah. Just to touch on, obviously, the 6th place Gardens list, it's sort of like flickered in and out, right, over the past few weeks, but this is just fairly stock. True Name Nemesis Gardens, who's been playing it for quite a while now, basically 2 Avenging Hunters, Shambling Ghast as sort of like a sack effect that also makes a treasure and also kills a guy. But then it's just basically 3 Trolls, 2 Thorn of the Black Rose, 3 Crypt Rats, and then no Campfires, some Lembas, Izzika Wellsprings, a 1 of Blood Fountain, and then 2 Tidal Blades. So it's like stock for them, but it's, I guess, fairly unique-ish nowadays. I would say most Gardens lists are sort of Campfire based nowadays.
Yeah, I guess the majority you don't really see Shambling Ghast in anymore. But it seems pretty good at the moment with Elves, Rally, Fear, all being pretty legitimate decks. Mono Black Sack as well. It's obviously pretty solid against them early.
Yeah.
Seems like a good call.
Speaking of things that aren't good against Mono Black Sack, the 2-2 split of 2 Snuff Outs and 2 Spin and Darkness.
Yeah, yeah.
But 4 Cast Downs, 3 Defiles, though, to round it off. Though. And obviously, I wouldn't say maxed out, but got quite a lot of 2-mana draw spells with 4 Offerings, 3 Insights, and 2 Bargains. So,
I guess to mention the Jund Wildfire, more of a anecdote of your thought that they might start trimming cast downs because legends are getting played. Obviously, there are Swarm being a bees in the Friday top 8 red black, but the Jund Wildfires are still just on the 4 cast downs.
One day, one person will be got, and then they'll see a swap. One day. Yeah, the 7th place list has ran cut 3, but it's the Gixin Infiltrator list, and they aren't cutting it for. They aren't cutting it because oh no, they can't cast down the guy. They're cutting it because they need space for Gixin. Yeah. Anything else about Saturday?
No, I'm happy to move on to Sunday, which was the 5th of October. 63 players, so once again, touching that 64 number, but not quite getting there again. Quite an interesting one, to be fair, as far as these challenges have been lately. First place, Mono Black Sack. Second place, Spy Walls. Third and fourth place, Mono Blue Terror. Fifth place, Grix Infinity. Sixth place, Gardens. Seventh place, Mono Black Sack. And eighth place, Mono Red Madness. And then the 2 near misses, 9th, Mono Blue Terror. And 10th, Gardens. I guess, once again, the 2 Mono Black Sack pilots of Hamuda and Weber. Hamuda taking it down in first. Basically the same list that he has been on with the 3 Blood Throne, 3 Shambling Ghasts, right? 2 Unearths, 2 Rights, and 7 Draw Spells. I believe that's, unless the sideboard's I think the sideboard has cast downs in now. But yeah, Hamuda looking very set on his main deck list.
Yeah, I think they've moved. I think last week they had a 1-1 split of the Reaping, right? Did they have 1 Reaping in the main and then 1 in the side, maybe?
But still on the no stamina plan.
Yeah, still on the no stamina plan. Which is odd.
And then Weber's list is clearly listened to us and put 4 Perigees in the main instead of the 3.
Yeah.
Other than that, seems sort of roughly what he was on. Definitely trying some new things out with a 1-of Gixin Infiltrator and a 1-of Unearth. And a full 8 draw 2s as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the deck is almost there, right, on its core. It's just obviously trying to figure out its last few numbers. It's a pretty good place for the deck to be, but still performing while doing it.
Yeah. I think the problem with Sack is you probably want 64 cards, but no one wants to play 64 cards because then you need to go up to 65 cards to add an extra land or something like that, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, trying to fit the Curse Marauders, for example, into the main because often, more often than enough, they are going to be good in the main.
Yeah.
But then they're taking up slots for your engine cards, which you don't want them to take up, and just trying to get there is definitely an interesting process, but it's cool to see Weber and Hamuda both basically just jamming this deck every week and top 8 and all coming close to top 8 and every week with slightly different tweaks on it.
Definitely. Sweet to see. Just to mention the Gardens list in 6th place was Nick Norman, but deciding to play Campfire Gardens with basically 2 Campfires in the main. Sort of similar list, but only cut down on the sort of creature package, right? With only no Shambling Ghast, 1 Hunter, made space for the 2 Campfires, and sort of extra removal. So they've got an extra Defile, an extra Pulse, and they went to 3 Snuff Outs, 1 Spin and Darkness, basically. But Nick Norman and True Name are pretty good Gardens pilots, if any. Those are usually the go-tos for that sort of deck, so I pretty much trust both of their decisions on the card choices, even though I would often say Tide and Blade looks terrible right now, and, you know, all this sort of stuff.
Unless you play against Loads Terror. The second place, Wall Spy, is sort of basically just building on what we mentioned for the previous one, the Friday one. But maybe just pushing it a bit harder. They're on the Avenging Hunter plan with 3 Avenging Hunters. But they're basically just maxed out that I'm going to cast Avenging Hunter fast with 4 Tinder Walls. Like, committing to the Tinder Wall life. Other than that, the actual list is, like, pretty similar, right? They're still on the end, still on the Mass Vandals.
I think
no Axebane. Yeah.
Tinder Walls.
I think it might just be 2. Is it 2 Mesfiend, 4-2 Tinder Wall, basically?
Yeah. That's the only real change, I think.
And then the sideboard, again, for the most part, is basically the same, but now has Mesfiends instead of the elf guy that collects evidence 6, Vitu-Ghazi Inspector. Yeah, so obviously Avenging Hunter seems like a pretty legit plan from this deck. And Axebane is clearly not it.
Yeah, which makes sense, to be fair, because, like, obviously Axebane's like the combo card out of Walls combo, right? But when you
without
just need
the combo,
yeah, but you don't need it for this, right? You don't really need the black anyways, so you basically just need the guy that can't really die to tap for extra mana. So this is pretty sweet. Yeah, I do think it's obviously a very good spy deck, right? It's obviously, as far as they go, it's easy to produce a lot of 1 mana guys. Get your 2 mana ramp spell off, pull your lands out of your deck quite easily and combo off. Like, I think the thing is, as I've always said, is Wall Spy has a really bad backup plan. Avenging Hunter definitely will make that better, for sure. Yeah. Obviously, 5/4 initiative as early as turn 3 is obviously strong. We've seen that in Green Red Ramp. It's just interesting to see how that would perform. Might even have to test this out myself, due to obviously the power of initiative is the fact that you can take it back quite easily. But if all you guys have Defender, you can't really take it back that easily. So it'd be interesting to see.
Yeah. Outside of that, there's not too much else in the top 10 to talk about. But I have some honourable mentions just of Spice. Sort of almost getting there, not quite. Some of it is quite cool though. The first one is Nubarola's 11th place elf list. The actual elf main deck is fairly stock, like, for their main list with the 4 Well-Wishers in. But they're trying some cool cards in the sideboard. So there's a 2 of Barkform Harvester, which is a 3 mana 2/3 artifact creature that is a changeling. And you can pay 2 and put target card from your graveyard on the bottom of your library. It also has reach, so it's sort of a bit of utility there. And then to go on with the I don't want to run out of elves, apparently, they're also running 3 Repopulates, which is a 2 mana instant that you can cycle for 2 mana. But if you cast it, you shuffle all creature cards from target player's graveyard into their library. So obviously good if you run out of gas, but also just like the spy player combos off and you shuffle all the cards back in and take no damage. Which is pretty cool.
Yeah. It's definitely a cool hit piece, to be fair.
It's like a Fairy Macabre that is actually more useful. Because you can always cycle it. You can always cast it, which you can't always cast Fairy Macabre. And yeah, it's just a pretty interesting hit piece. They're still on 4 Pick Your Poisons, which in of itself is pretty interesting to still see in sideboards as well.
I'd be interested to see the Barkform Harvester at work. UPS dudes, 5-0'd either last week or the week before. With the best way I can describe it is effectively mono blue gardens. Is the weirdest thing I can call it, but it doesn't actually run the Colony Garden, but UPS dude was the originator of gardens, like the Colony Garden Deadly Dispute engine in a black control deck. And basically, essentially, sort of took that logic that he made that deck, and he's made like a mono blue, sort of Cryogen Relic, gonna draw through my deck sort of thing, and bore you to death and win somehow like that. And they played Barkform Harvester to basically constantly put stuff on the bottom of the deck so they never decked out, and that was how they won.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to take... I'm only guessing that they've kind of took that logic from there and applied it to Elves in a deck that can just draw through its entire deck, and then it's got, I'll just keep going. Which is pretty interesting.
I think it sort of adds to it as well, because this list, more than, say, a normal Elf list with the 4 Sagus and 4 Ents, can actually shuffle the stuff from the bottom back in. And with the 4 Well-Wishers main, like, it has a lot of longevity, like, against the control decks or against, like, other aggro decks, like, or the mirror. Like, if you've got Well-Wisher going, you're just going to live forever, and you're just going to basically both just cast as many things as you possibly can. And if you're, like, able to cycle your Winding Ways and lead the Stampedes back into your deck and then shuffle them back in to redraw them, it's going to give you a lot more gas in that mirror.
Yeah. And for anyone noting, the second time round, Winding Way is generally better. If you go through the second time round.
There's now like 2 lands in your entire list.
Yeah, which is pretty sick.
And then the other honourable mention is actually just below this in 12th place. It's Esper Affinity, which is sweet to see. Like, 12th place is very close to a top 8.
Yeah.
It's basically like the Black-White Blade list, but with Mirror Enforcers, Thoughtcasts, and Cryogen Relics to basically make it into, like, full-blown Esper Affinity, which is, really sweet.
Yeah, definitely.
Glint Hawks and Core Skyfishers from the Blade list. Mirror Enforcers, Refurbs from, obviously, Affinity. 4 Thoughtcasts, and then 2 Eviscerators for the, like, draw spell package. A few more removal spells with Thraben Charms and Cast Downs and a one-off Suffocating Fumes. And then, like, a mix of the Blade artifacts and the Affinity artifacts with Blood Fountains, Cryogen Relics, 2 Grim Baubles, 1 Compass, 1 Spellbomb, and 2 Blades. Yeah.
It's pretty sweet. Pretty sweet deck to see, and it's sweet that almost top 8. Obviously, it'll be most likely on Breakers, right? Which is pretty cool. Obviously, a lot of the listeners have been harping on that Esper Affinity or Esper Cryo Affinity or whatever they've been calling it will do well, and it's nice to see that it finally nearly made it. Yeah. Hopefully see more of it.
It looks pretty legit as well. Like, it looks a lot better than I expected it to take more of a Blade route.
Yeah.
But the fact that it's leaned harder into Affinity with the Thoughtcasts, with the Mirror Enforcers, to me makes it look a lot better.
Did you ever think you'd see a Esper Affinity deck without 4 Duster Dust in the sideboard, if you were ever to be told? That's crazy to think.
I suppose, like, they're just not that great.
No, that's what I mean.
Wildfire and occasional Grixis.
Yeah, it's mental to see that. I never thought I'd see a white deck, in all seriousness, with, like, less than 4 Duster Dust, like, 2 years ago. But here we are.
But yeah, very cool one. 3 more Navigators Compass in the side as well, so you can do that absolutely toxic Blade strategy of, I'm just going to bounce this as many times as possible. I'm not going to win the game. I'm just going to bore you to death.
You're eventually the red deck's eventually going to run out of gas, right? Eventually. Yeah. And then you'll kill them with 2-3 flyers.
Yeah. But yeah, so there's still some cool ones out there. They're just not quite at the top yet.
Close, but no.
Very close.
Move on to hot takes.
So the first listener hot take from last week was that there would be a White Weenie top 8 that was from PG Brewing. Sadly, there was no White Weenie.
Unfortunately. The next one was from Moist Moose. Was that Swarm Being of Bees or Wekdu will be the only playable Spider-Man card, and I guess at the moment that's technically true, right?
Yeah. We haven't seen another one, right?
No. That's the first Spider-Man card we've seen. Interestingly, there has been a couple of 5-0s with the cat, the Insolent Neonate with haste.
Oh, yeah.
In Madness. So
yeah, to be fair, like, going down the Madness route, the lists that you sent me, and I believe I've posted now. I haven't watched the video yet.
Yeah.
Like, look pretty legit, and like, going up to 8 Neonates and then starting to cast like the 2-drop madness stuff on 2 and stuff like that. Like it seems solid, so I wouldn't be surprised if that sort of sneaks in at some point.
Yeah, definitely.
My hot take from last week was praying that we would get a PFP update because it's the start of October, and that it would shake up the format. We have no update yet, but surely it's got to be soon, I promise.
Honest. And my last one is that Spider-Man will make an appearance in next week's top 10s, and that was the case. We got a Weck doing 9th. And
lucky you said top 10.
Yeah, lucky I said top 10.
You got 2 copies of one card in one deck.
Let's go.
In the 30 decks we looked at.
Yeah. All it takes is one. It only takes one. Hot takes for this week?
Yeah. The first listener hot take is that a brand new deck would top 8 a challenge with a Spider-Man card in. Yeah, that's a bold one.
It's coming. It's coming. It's going to be Spider-X, I'm telling you. Spider-X is going to top 8. Going to be a one-of in a green-red Ponza deck. Never know.
Have you got another listener hot take, or is that it?
No, there's just a one. We had ended up with a large conversation in the hot takes Discord section, and I got unable to track it all, so I cut it, and that was the cut-off point. So, unfortunately, there's only just one listener hot take this week.
My hot take for next week, then, is that elves with repopulate in the sideboard will top 8. They'll make it in. Card looks legit, especially if, like, we've seen the sort of hints that Spy's coming back with 2 top 8s. And, yeah, I don't know. Card is sweet.
Spy elves this weekend, that's what it is. Spy elves.
Yeah.
My hot take is that PFP will ban Tolarian Terror in the next announcement.
I hope not.
And
I will not come to Nationals if Terror gets banned.
I need to explain. I feel like I need to explain this, right? Because it's a bit out there. And this is, just for reference, this is not me saying that I think Terror should be banned. But in the last announcement, right, they banned Kuldotha out of the blue. Nobody expected it. And basically, it wasn't, let's be honest, Kuldotha as a card probably wasn't on the list. Like, most people were thinking other cards, like, but, you know.
Well, it was between Kuldotha and Bushwhacker, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, I wouldn't have put Kuldotha on that, like, to be fair, but yeah. Anyways, but I also wouldn't have even thought they would have banned it there, because at that point, obviously, Glee was a problem, blah, 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 all that sort of stuff. But the thing that they had access to was the game 1 win rate was incredibly high, and, you know, it was 2 thing, and it was warp and sideboards, blah, 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 right? So my thought process on this is, I have a feeling they've got some data that the game 1 win rate at Tolarian Terror is ridiculously high. It's warp and sideboards with the amount of Rebs and Pyros, etc., and all this sort of crap, right? And that's basically my reason. And I'm not saying that it needs to be banned. I just think they've got data that is under the same argument as Kuldotha. That's where I'm going with this.
I hope that's not the case.
I also hope that is not the case, but I just have this underlying nagging feeling in my head that I don't know why something out of Terror is getting banned.
Yeah, I feel like it's a lot less warping than Kuldotha was. For example, like the non-red decks and like the sideboards of them aren't really warped at all for Terror. Like, you're not seeing like play sets of relics and play sets of Tormod scripts and stuff like that in the non-red decks. Like elves, for example, like like the sideboard of elves isn't warped for Terror, or like Fae, the sideboard of Fae isn't really.
Yeah, but I would also say that elves is also really good right now because it's really good against Terror.
Yeah, true.
You know, but
yeah, I don't know. I really hope that's not the case.
Yeah,
I think the deck's fine.
I also equally agree that the deck is probably fine, but I also feel like the win rate, it is a very powerful deck, and I feel like its game 1 win rate or its general cheesing of win rate or whatever will be incredibly high.
I guess it's a weird one because it does have quite polarizing matchups where Kuldotha like didn't really have any like super awful matchups. Where, like you're saying there, like Terror's game 1 win percentage just goes down because it plays against elves some amount of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, weird.
I just have a weird thought. I don't know. I can't get the nagging feeling out of my head.
I'll be refunding my Nationals ticket if it gets back.
You heard that here first. Anything else?
No, that's it from me.
Thank you all for the continued support. If you have enjoyed this podcast, please do not forget to share it with your friends, your family, your local Pauper community, and even your national judges. That is all from us at Casting Commons. Until next time, and don't forget to stay hydrated. Peace!
Bye.